I would like to welcome you all to today's webinar session on a deep dive, growth mindset, and servant leadership. On behalf of Agile PeopleOps, me, Mariana Di Rosario, your host, would like to thank you all for taking out your precious time for joining us today. So what are we going to learn today? We're going to learn about how growth mindset and servant leadership can create a powerful combination for personal and organizational development. And a person with a growth mindset is open to learning and developing new skills, while a servant leader is focused on empowering their team members to grow and achieve their own goals. So by combining these two approaches, the leaders can create a culture of growth, development, and empowerment within their organizations. I would now like to invite our Zambia country ambassador, Ms. Mubanga Mwansa, for a welcome note and to speak a few words about herself. Over to you, Mubanga.
Thank you, Mariana. Hello, everyone. Hello, Sarika. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for sparing your time. I know it's still working hours, but we're still very grateful for everybody who's managed to join us. And I really hope that you find this session very insightful, just as the first one was really, really great. And as the session goes on, if you happen to have any questions while she's still explaining something, you can just maybe write it down somewhere so that you do not forget. And then you can ask the questions when the platform is open for asking questions. And also, you can still share the link to other people who you think can benefit from the session, as we have just begun, so it's not too late to join. And I hope you enjoy and learn so much and grow from this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mubanga. I would now like to introduce our esteemed speaker for today's session, Ms. Sarika Gupta. She is a PeopleOps Director and APF Certified PeopleOps Coach at Culture Diligence and SAP Certified from CDAC. As a human-centered leader, she is passionate about elevating the people's experience within the company and continuously strives to leverage a constructive culture between and across diverse distributed teams. Sarika loves to use her mentoring toolkit and to bring out the best in people. So welcome, Sarika. The stage is all yours.
Thank you so much, Mariana. Thanks a lot, Mubanga. Thanks a lot for your kind words. And I hope everybody enjoys the session here. So, okay. There is one thing I could see, that is common to all of you present over here. We have around 15 participants as of now in the room, including myself, of course. We all want to make an impact in your personal and professional lives, right? And I'm here to help you make that possible. At the end of this webinar, I'll leave you with that thought of how you could become a better version of yourself and help others achieve the same too. So today we'll explore the key principles of growth mindset and servant leadership and how they can positively impact your lives, your careers, and your organizations. So for that, I'll be running you through APF Manifesto and Principles. Then we'll talk about fact of mindset, followed by a breakout room activity. And lastly, we'll talk about servant leadership. And then we'll share what your next step could be post completion of this webinar. So let's dive in. Okay, so last time in our webinar, we introduced you to APF, its manifesto, its values, and we call ourselves Agile People Operations Framework. Now, literally, framework is a set of conceptual structures and guidelines used to build something very useful. So when we say APF is a solution framework for transformation from traditional HR to Agile HR, we are basically emphasizing on guiding principles for the steps that you could take to begin the transformation journey, right? And which would ultimately lead to business agility. Now, what is business agility? But the company's ability to quickly adapt to changes and fluctuations in the business environment. And the faster a company adjusts to its business strategy, the higher the business agility. That is what we say. Now, the question that comes to our mind is how to go ahead with this transformation. We always cry, about transformation. But then what should be the first step? So if leadership is the initiator of the transformation in organization, then what could be the first step that they could go ahead with? It could be to revisit the organization structure at the very first place that they are following. They should start devising a flexible and not so authoritarian structure. What will happen when they do that? They will allow more adaptability. That is the first step. Secondly, they could incorporate team of teams culture, wherein people from various domains, they come together and work towards achieving organizational goals. Now, what is it that they would achieve once they start following this? This would lead to innovation. And further, the managers should be encouraged to become good coaches and be supportive in their role. This would lead to improved performance and better communication and high engagement. And of course, when it comes to employees, they should always be open to learning. Constant learning, taking those frequent feedbacks will keep them moving up in the learning curve. And after learning, try to implement it in their own way, and be that initiator of change at their own level. This would ultimately lead to professional and personal growth. And while doing all this, mind you, don't be scared of failures. It's not an overnight thing that would happen. Failures will come. Learn from your failures. Try to embrace them and get going. All right, could you please change the slide, Marina? All right. So the four aspects of APF manifesto that we covered last time were team of teams over traditional hierarchies, growth mindset over fixed mindset, coaching culture over command and control, and cross-cultural competence over cultural competence. Now, today we'll deep dive into growth mindset, and reason why we have chosen this to be our topic for today, because in our last webinar, most of the participants, they chose this manifesto, something that they would like to begin with when it comes to initiating that change, right? So we'll learn what exactly is it? What is growth mindset? What is servant leadership? How can it impact your personal professional lives? Next slide, please, Mariana. All right, let's come to principles now. Principles, as you all know, are objective and undisputable. They're like laws, they're like truths. And essentially, your principles are meant to describe how you relate to people. When it comes to HR, it could be your customers, it could be your employees, it could be your stakeholders, or maybe some kind of a broader community. Now, they describe how you will behave from a human perspective. So what happens when companies don't follow their principles? Let's understand this thing with an example here. And here, try to guess the name of the organization I'm talking to you right now, right? And whatever you guess, write it in the chat box. I would love to hear from all of you. So here is a set of principles for one of the world's biggest manufacturers. The principles that they mentioned, they said they follow. These are integrity. We always strive to do the right thing. Servant's attitude. We only exist to serve our internal and external customers so that they can, they have that concern. They're always at the forefront of our business. That is what they said. Accountability, continuous improvement, teamwork. Now tell me, with all these principles in place, does this sound like a company that perpetrated one of the biggest frauds in corporate history? A company whose executives gamed environmental laws by embedding a device in the exhaust system of their vehicles that would make them appear to be within legal emission tolerances limit? A company whose vehicles emitted 35 times more the acceptable level of nitrogen oxide into the air for years before it could be detected. Now tell me, were you able to guess the name of the organization? It was so much in news. Anyone? All right. Keep thinking. Okay, no problem. Volkswagen, one of the world's most trusted brands in automobile sector. And the cost Volkswagen has to pay for this, for not, following the principles that they have mentioned, was that in a matter of days, it lost 1/3 of its market capital. It faced US dollar 18 billions in potential fines. And the moral of the story is you can't just articulate your principles. You have to live with them. Inverted commas, live with them. And APF lives with the following principles, right? We always, advocate to nurture talent experience and engagement. Many organizations we could see, they are not aware of the fact that many of their employees, they never get that opportunity to shine as much as they would like to or have that potential to. And their efforts isn't recognized and appreciated. So nurturing and helping individuals to grow is the kind of mindset one should work with. And if you think that employee is capable of a bigger and better role, you should always upgrade him to that level. Secondly, learning and feedback culture. I think we all agree, to the importance of feedback culture. We all know about it. We have been asked for feedbacks even when we buy something from the market. When you go to, a departmental store, somebody will, drop a message in your SMS asking for that feedback. How was your experience there at the store? Maybe if you're purchasing anything online, you'll get a feedback, message from them. Give us your feedback. How was it? How did you feel while purchasing things from us, right? Effective feedback, both negative and positive, is very helpful. And feedback is a source of valuable information that will be used to make important decisions at the company level. So no matter in which department you are, if we talk of professional level, right? In HR, operations, admin, business development, or marketing, invest time in asking and learning about how others experience working with your organization. Continuous feedback is very important across the entire organization in order to remain aligned to the goals, in order to create those strategies. You will come to know about the pitfalls, right? Once you get that feedback, you would be able to develop a better product or maybe improve your services, improve your relationships, and much, much more. And you may know, where the gap exists and how with continuous improvisation and learning, you may fill those gaps. Right? Now focus on human effectivity. Based on continuous learning, it is very important that we are doing the right thing instead of doing things in a right way. Now, don't get confused over here. We are talking about doing the right thing instead of doing the things in a right way. Now, I'll tell you the difference. If you are in charge, then it is your responsibility to do the right thing. While if you're following the orders of the boss, then you do the things in a right way. So doing things right is all about being efficient. It's doing what your boss is telling you to do. And doing the right thing, it's all about being effective. Right? All in all, we have to be intelligently diligent. Right? I hope you are not getting confused over here. And one example of HR that I could think of right now is, when we do hiring. So how is it that we can make hiring a better process? So instead of simply relying on the candidate's qualification or maybe following a set of process, HR may consider factors such as diversity, inclusivity, or culture fit. And they may prioritize hiring candidates who not only have that necessary skill, but also align with the company values and culture. And this approach could lead a more diverse, a more inclusive workplace, improving the employee morale, in the very first place, and then ultimately contributing to the company's success. This is what will happen. Next is nexus of connections between and within teams. Now, here we are talking about a shared vision between customers and the providers. It is all about connecting, collaborating, and co-creating within the team and with other teams. Not only with the teams actually, but also with customers and clients. And this connection can facilitate knowledge sharing. It can facilitate collaboration. It can facilitate alignment of goals across the teams. Say, for example, somebody from the marketing team, they may need to work closely with the sales team to ensure that the campaigns are aligned with the sales strategy, while also collaborating with the design team to create an effective visual. So that is how it is. Next is growth mindset and servant leadership. Now, having a growth mindset helps you focus on developing your abilities. In other words, believing that intelligence, skills, and abilities can be improved against a fixed mindset where people think that it cannot be changed. And the very fact that you all are here depicts that you all have a growth mindset. You have that intent of learning to listening something new. Servant leadership. It begins when a leader assumes the position of servant in their interaction with their followers. What they do is leaders enable others to act, not by holding power, but they have to give it away, right? Empower others during the process. And lastly, recognize, respect, and reconcile cultural difference. Learn to appreciate and value those diverse views. Do not judge views that differ from yours as wrong. It does not work that way. Instead, just accept, that they are different and try to understand others' point of view too. Avoid imposing your own values. Instead, make a conscious effort to understand the other's perspective. All right, could you please change the slide, Mariana? Thank you. So professionally or personally, no one likes to fail. I'm sure of that. Everybody is scared of failures, and some people are so averse to failures that it becomes paralyzing for them. So when we allow fear to prevent progress in life, we are going to miss great opportunities. And a new research that has come, it demonstrates that success is determined by how we use that F word, failure. It's just that people with growth mindset view failure differently. Right? What if I can't? Others are better than me. People will think I'm stupid. A fixed mindset person is actually threatened by challenges. Whereas on the other hand, I'll give it a try. Maybe someone else can help me. Everyone has had to learn a new skill. A growth mindset is motivated by challenges. That's how it is. A very good example here I could think of is that of Google. Now, Google has studied the concept of team dynamics for years, spending millions of dollars measuring how frequently co-workers eat and lunch together, to which personality traits foster collaboration and effective communication. And in 2009, one of the top 3 challenges facing the company was employee turnover due to poor management. So what they did is they set out to build a better boss. And this initiative was called Project Oxygen. And the goal was to determine what leadership traits were the most important to a healthy, engaged company culture. And this project ultimately culminated into a list of leadership traits named as 8 habits of highly effective Google managers. Whenever you get time, you just Google it and you'll get to know the details. And you know what? Developing a growth mindset topped the list. They believe that growth mindset develops leaders who are more eager to learn. They are ready to challenge themselves and grow and take risks, even if those risks result in mistakes or failures. and they embrace these mistakes and failures with humility so that everyone has room for growth. And in doing so, managers learn how to be more open to the employees, so that so as to facilitate them for more growth. And this is the significance, that growth mindset carries. Can you please change the slide, Mariana? Thanks. Okay. So let's talk more about the facts of mindset. These mindsets, they aren't set in stone. People may have a growth mindset at certain times and a fixed mindset at other. They may have a different approach, to different challenges, and their mindset may change over a period of time. It's not that somebody is born with a growth mindset, somebody is not. Right? You can learn to nurture and develop a growth mindset over a period of time. It means your brain keeps on changing, adapting, and following new connections even as you grow older. And more importantly, it means that your cognitive abilities are not fixed. So there is nothing preventing you from learning something new or getting out of your comfort zone. And this is what having a growth mindset is all about. Now, there are certain myths, about growth mindset that people carry. You either have it or you don't, which is not at all true. We all have a mix of fixed and growth mindsets that change, based on our experiences and the feedback that we get. Second myth, growth mindset is only about being positive. No, it's more than that. Growth mindset means taking feedback, learning from experience, and coming up with strategies for improvement. That is what works. Could you please change the slide, Mariam? Okay, let's understand this thing with the help of an example. Now, traditionally, traditional annual reviews that we do in our organizations, they review, they feed actually into a fixed mindset. A typical review scenario involves employees being given a rating or a rank compared with their peers in order for them to be attributed to a particular bonus, or that is also called increment at so many places, right? An employee is rewarded only for the historic performance based upon the criteria set by their managers. Now, this actually what it does, it encourages the employees to focus only on narrow criteria for success. It does not promote ownership. It does not promote innovation. It does not promote initiative, right? So by adopting a growth mindset, this outcome of many of the reviews is more about rating an individual against themselves. How have they developed professionally over the past month or a quarter? What have they learned that makes them, that make themselves and the work that they do better? It is more of a forward-looking approach, driving development for the future. That is how it helps. Could you please change the slide, Mariana? Okay. So now this man here, most of you know, it's already written over here, Satya Nadella. In 2014, the then CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, he embarked on a journey to change the culture of this 40-year-old tech company. And what he did, Nadella embraced a growth mindset culture, developing himself as a leader and transforming the culture of Microsoft to be more open, to be more innovative, to be more collaborative and curious. A company of learn it all rather than know it all. And what he did is, could you please change the slide, Mariana? And what he did is he encouraged continuous feedback on performance and an expectation that managers encourage learning and new ideas. So it is about creating a safe environment for employees to express themselves and foster the ownership of solutions to challenges. Obviously, there are other contributing factors, but this fundamental change has had a dramatic impact on the organization. And since Nadella joined the company, the share prices trebled, and then Microsoft announced its record annual revenues. See the kind of impact growth mindset can make and the level at which people are actually following it. In an incident, I could remember, he was asked what advice he had for women seeking a pay rise who are not comfortable asking for one. So he answered, just casually, faith and patience. His comments, when they went viral, it provoked an outrage, and his commitment to diversity was actually questioned just because he made a remark against women. So he immediately sent a message to all the employees that his statement was wrong and should not have been done this way. Even though he's a leader of Microsoft, Satya was very open about his shortcomings. Being open about your shortcomings actually makes you more approachable, and it allows those around you to grow as well. He actually acknowledges, that he does not have all the answers, which I think is a great lesson to learn for all of us. And it also helps people, with trust and respect, which I think both are very essential if you want people to follow you and look up to you. And he has said several times that Microsoft needs people willing to make change happen and make it happen now. You can look at the readiness of Microsoft and the CEO for this change, for next slide, please, Mariana. All right, so Mariana has a video for all of you here. And here, I'll just
if you don't want your bank to become no bank, then
Mariana, would you like to play the video first? And shall I give the briefing later, or shall I give the briefing right now?
Whatever works, ma'am.
Okay, fine. I'll just brief everyone this video. Now, a simple way to start changing to a growth mindset is by use of a little word, yet. Little, but very powerful, this word, yet. Now, Carol Susan Dweck is an American psychologist and professor of psychology at Stanford University. And Dweck is known for her work on mindset, and she has very beautifully explained the significance of yet. The power of this small word actually allows you for success. Right. Now let's watch the video, Mariana.
So when we have a fixed mindset, we feel that we're not innately good at something. Like, I'm not a technology person, I'm a people person. I'm just not a change person, I'm a, stable times person. From that belief, what happens is we can't change much. There's not much point trying. Feedback is dangerous. Stretch goals are bad here, and other people's success actually makes us feel worse. So, if we feel we're innately not a good cook, for example, a good cook comes along and, cooks in our house, we actually shrink back and cook even less in future. So a fixed mindset is this belief that we're not innately good at something, whereas a growth mindset is this belief that we can get better. We can change. We have to try, and we need feedback, and we need stretch goals, and we need to learn from other people. But what's really, really interesting about this mindset concept is how prevalent it is and how much people can actually switch from one to the other quite simply. So we've been studying this across the literature and across organizations, and it's quite simple to shift from fixed to growth. Now, here's the basic concept. In a fixed mindset, you're trying to look good, prove that you're good. In a growth mindset, you don't care about how you look. You're just trying to improve yourself, right? You're just fascinated by getting better. You see how relevant that is to this time? Organizations need to be obsessed by not trying to get it perfect, but just by getting better. in particular with service transformation. Now, here's the really interesting news. We've taught this to hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. Excuse me. We have data showing that over 90% of people, when you teach this, actually every week they shift at least one thing from fixed to growth mindset. And about a quarter of people, literally every day, shift from a fixed to a growth mindset. And one of the ways they do that is literally adding one word. It's an incredibly simple word. It's when you notice yourself saying, hey, I'm just not good at this, technology stuff, or I'm not good at this working from home stuff, or I'm no good at this hybrid working, or I'm no good at all this change, or I'm just not a digital person. You add one word, and that word is yet. I'm just not good at this, digital transformation yet. I'm just not good at all this, this hybrid work yet. And adding this one word, it's not the only way you create growth mindset, but adding this one word is the simplest way, the fastest way. What you'll see as you start doing this is that it's actually transformational. And in studies, we've seen it literally changes how you process the world in the brain. So this is an incredibly important, very measurable habit that you can put into your organization.
Thanks, Mariana, for playing that video for all of us here. Okay, so by now, you must have got that understanding of the power of this little word yet. Okay, now we have a breakout room activity for all of you. Now, in this activity, what you'll have to identify is your yet. Discuss and list out 5 yet statements you can use with your team or maybe other employees, or maybe with yourself. For this, how you can go ahead and do this, identify your can't. So as a rule of thumb, if you believe you cannot do something, chances are that you will fail, even if you try. If you believe you cannot lose weight, you won't. If you think you cannot penetrate a certain Okay, sorry. I was on mute. So sorry for that, guys. I thought I unmuted myself. Okay, so now it's time for our breakout room activity. Now, by now, you must have understood this power of yet. Now, in this activity, you will have to identify and discuss and list out 5 yet statements, which you can use with yourself, your teams, or maybe other employees, For this, identify your can't. And as a rule of thumb, if you believe you cannot do something, chances are that you will fail even if you try. And if you believe that you cannot lose weight, you won't. If you cannot penetrate a certain market, chances are that you'll put in less effort and eventually you will fail at it too. So the key is detecting your can't and adding that yet. Say, for instance, I don't know how to do this yet, but I'm willing to learn. I'm not good at this yet, but I'm making progress. I haven't achieved my goal yet, but I'm getting closer to it every day. So just like that. Now, Mariana will open these breakout rooms for you. And we'll be giving 15 minutes of time, Mariana, for them to discuss. And how many rooms do you have in total?
We have 3 rooms and 15 minutes to discuss.
How many people in each room, Mariana?
About 5 to 6.
Okay, so you have 3 rooms with 5 to 6 rooms. Discuss in breakout rooms and try to jot down this powerful yet statement for yourself, right? And when you come back, we'll discuss, share your thoughts with all of us. All right, Mariana, over to you. So I could see some people, they have not joined the room. Is there an issue that you are facing? Mariana, could you please see?
No issue from my side. Few of them have joined, few of them have not.
So if you are facing any issue joining the room, please let us know.
And you all can unmute yourself to talk. Okay, room 1, everyone has joined and they have started discussing. I can see that. Room 6, 2 have not yet joined. And room 3, 1 has not joined.
Okay.
I don't see anyone speaking in room 3.
We'll hear from them once they are out of the room in the main room. So let's wait. Mariana, 11 more minutes to go. Okay.
Yeah, here it is showing 9 minutes.
Oh, you're watching the time? It's okay.
Yeah. So they can't hear us, is it?
No, they can't.
Precious has not joined and Million has not joined.
Okay. No problem. Oh, Millen is having issues, No problem, Millen. You can do this activity even if and you can share your experience, in the chat.
And should I shift her to another room if she's not able to join?
Try doing that, Mariana. Otherwise, we have, around 7 minutes left as of now.
Yeah.
Try
Yeah,
doing
that.
I've broadcasted that message, Mariana, that 5 more minutes they have, in their hand before we close these breakout rooms.
You've put it in the chat box.
No, I've already done that. I've broadcasted this message.
Okay. So what is the broadcast option that it sends messages?
Yes, broadcast will send your message in all the rooms.
Okay.
It's there at the bottom of the breakout room option, right? You could see
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Shall we close the rooms now? Oh, only 1 minute is left, Mariana.
Should I close now?
Yes, it'll take around a minute for rooms to get closed.
Oh, I had put it as 60 seconds.
Okay, fine.
So should I do it now?
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, time is up, and I hope everyone is back in the main room. I could see a lot of talking going on in room number 1. Can any one of you come forward and share your experience? What is it that you discussed? What kind of yet statements are you able to come up with? Anybody? You can unmute yourself and come forward and share. Anybody from room number 1?
Hello, I think I was in room number 1.
Yes, Margaret, tell me.
So before I go ahead, could you please just repeat what the question was? Because I wasn't there when everyone was breaking out into the groups. I had problems with my internet connection.
Okay. So in the room, you were supposed to identify your can't and write 5 statements using that yet word. Were you able to do that?
Okay, so in my group, we all identified something that we are afraid of, and we applied the like going forward what we're willing to do. We're like willing to change our mindset on what we're afraid to do most.
Okay.
So not necessarily making those 5 points, but we each just shared something that we struggled with and how we're willing to go about it going forward.
Okay. So were you able to put it in the form of a yet statement, Margaret? I am unable
yes.
to do that yet. Dash, dash, dash.
Yes, we were able to do that.
Okay. No problem, Margaret. Anything that you'd like to share, what you discussed in the room, like anything that you want to highlight here and share with everybody else?
Okay, so the first one is so I myself personally I want to start a business, but I'm afraid to because I don't know how to go about it yet. I am willing to learn about how to go about it and the various processes involved in starting a business.
Wonderful, wonderful, Margaret. Thank you so much for sharing that.
All right, so I can continue or?
Yes, you may. Please go ahead. Tell me.
Okay. Then for my group members, Miss Hilda said she wants to start an NGO and there is a fear of failure, yet she wants to have a positive mindset and wants to achieve what she sets out to do.
Okay.
And then for Miss Chabi Chisha, she said she hasn't been able to achieve some of her goals, but she is currently working on it. So she's pursuing her a degree program in human resources. And in future or going forward, she would like to have a company of her own.
Great, Margaret.
For Mr. George, he said he has trouble using Microsoft Excel, yet he is willing to learn to get better at it. Miss Blessing said she's normally an indoor person and she likes public speaking, so she's willing to put herself out there and start public speaking.
Great. Okay.
And I think this is the last one for Miss Edna. She said she has trouble when it comes to interviews, yet she's willing to get better at it. So that's what we talked about in our group.
Thank you so much, Margaret, for sharing all these things with us. Thanks. Anything from room number 2 or room number 3? Anybody who would like to come forward and share what they discussed? What your team members discussed? You all were in that room.
All right.
Yes, Charles, please go ahead.
Yeah, so from group 2 or room 2 to say. Yeah, so are you getting me?
Yes, absolutely. You are audible. I could get you. Please go ahead.
Our team discuss a lot of things that we can do, but later on we can manage to work on them. Yeah, so one of our group member say that is not a good public speaker yet.
Okay.
But the career is pursuing requires the person to do public speaking. Yet is working on it to be a good public speaker.
Okay.
Sure. The other person said that I can't do math yet, but I'm trying to be good at it. The other one said, I can't do art yet, but I'm trying to get it there.
Okay.
Sure. And the last one said, I'm not good at listening yet, but
Okay. All right.
Sure. That's the discussion that we had from my group.
Thanks, Charles. Thanks a lot. That was room number 2. And what about room number 3? Anybody from that room? Room number 3, do we have anyone?
Okay, so
Yes,
was in room now.
Yes, tell me.
Some of the things that we discussed was there's one of my team members said that they said I have not utilized my managerial skill yet. And another one was I have not made up my mind to I think this was supposed to be pursue finance yet. Then I do not have the necessary information and tools to start up my firm yet. Then another one was I am not good at teamwork yet. Another one was I can't struggle tough. I'm trying to read here. It says I think they were trying to say I can't tackle tough professional problems yet. And then my personal one was I'm not good at time management yet. So yeah, the things that were
Tell me,
discussed.
Mubanga, were you able to complete this statement? Because your statements are actually ending on yet. So that the first half is actually the problem. Were you able to come up with a possible solution after that yet statement in the second half of the sentence? Were you able to do that? Any of your team members, any of those people who were present in your room? Did you do that, Mubanga?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible. Tell me.
Oh, okay, so we had a few members that attached some solutions to their yet questions, and then some just ended on yet, but I think maybe it's because I don't think they maybe got the instructions properly for the assignment.
Okay, no.
Yeah, for the few that managed to give solutions, when it comes to, I'm not good at time management yet, but I'm going to definitely start working on how I manage and balance my time. That's one of you that I remember from the solutions provided.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mabanga. So all of you by now must have got that awareness. What is yet actually bringing to you? Using yet is actually bringing hope. It is igniting that can-do attitude in you. It is creating an encouraging environment, right? Now that you have written down the statement, you know you have a problem, but then you are slowly trying to resolve that problem, trying to resolve that issue, taking baby steps and moving towards the solution. That is the power of yet. Whenever you get time, you can practice it at your own end, at your home, and you will come up with wonderful results. I hope you all enjoyed breakout room activity. All right, Mariana, could you please change the slide? Now this person, he says, the great leader is seen as a servant first. Robert K. Greenleaf. Now this short quotation by this person It's a fragment of a sentence from an essay written in 1970, back in 1970, that actually captures the essence of servant leadership here. Okay, Mariana, was I audible? Hello, Mariana, are you there?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, so when I started talking about the slide, was I audible? Because you muted everybody, so I also got muted.
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, so shall I repeat what I was talking about, or was it audible to everybody? Okay, fine. Now this word, servant and leader, they are usually, thought of being opposites to each other. Now, in deliberately bringing those two words together in a meaningful way, this person, Robert Greenleaf, he gave birth to this paradoxical term, servant leadership. And in the years since then, many of today's most creative thinkers, they are writing, they are speaking about it, what exactly servant leadership is. It is actually emerging as a leadership paradigm these days. We'll talk more about servant leadership in our coming slides. Could you please change the slide, Mariana? Okay, here you could say, traits of a servant leader. Now, what a servant leader should possess? The first being listening, which is of utmost importance. Listening to what is being said, of course, and what is being unsaid. That is also very important. Active listening at work is particularly important. It helps you to understand the problem and collaborate in a better manner to develop solutions. It showcases your patience, a valuable asset at workplace. You have to have that patience. Listening also encompasses, hearing one's inner voice. When in a situation, pause and listen. Listen to what others are saying and listen to your own self too. I'm sure, if you practice this, you will definitely reach a solution. Try practicing this at your own end. Empathy. Talking of empathy, Greenleaf wrote that the servant also always, he accepts and empathizes. He never rejects. And they are accepted for who they are. That is what it is. Awareness of what is going on around you in the organization or with the employees. Keep your eyes and ears open all the time. Without awareness, without having that kind of awareness in ourselves, we miss the opportunities of growth, of development. Healing is crucial in servant leadership because it promotes empathy, it promotes compassion and reconciliation. It leads to a healthier and more harmonious work environment. Then comes persuasion. If you see any of your employees is in a disagreement with the group, listen to him first. Try to understand. And then if you want to change this to an agreement state, then gentle persuasion is required. Remember, good servant leaders, they never exert pressure. And most leaders, they have the gift of the foresight, but servant leaders are specially skilled at leading people into the future from alongside or behind them, right? Greenleaf has written, the best leaders are very, very clear as to what they can do, what they have to do. Servant leaders, they serve their followers by meeting their needs, by teaching them, teaching their followers to become leaders, to become leaders of their own, to continue to pass down this tradition, like a leadership style. It's not that you hoard the power, you give it away. And by allowing followers to become leaders and providing that skills and tools necessary to do so, a sense of community and a common good that gets arisen. And why is person a leader? Because he could see what others could not see. He is able to do what others could not do. Have you ever seen anybody saying, treat me like a leader? No, of course not. And remember, no leader can possess all the attributes. However, it is important to continuously strive to improve and develop these skills over a period of time. And if as a leader, you display even some of these attributes, which you could see in the circle out here, people will raise you to the level of that, of that leader. They will raise you to that position. There is no need to ask, treat me like a leader. They will assume that you are their leader. That is what works. Could you please change the slide, Mariano? Okay. So here we have one more wonderful story of 40 years old Southwest Airlines. This airlines is actually Dallas based, and this company sustains its image as the best of the rest. With what? With ideal customer service, by an abundance of workers to over millions of customers on an yearly basis. So much so that the Southwest airline business model has made it arguably the most consistent profitable airline in the world. Compared to other airlines, Southwest Airlines always thinks of employees first. It gives the same importance to employee care as it gives respect to customers. And what the CEO's name is Herb Keller. What he says, if employees are happy, they are satisfied, they are dedicated, they are energetic, they will take real good care of the customers. So when customers are happy, they will come back. And that makes the shareholders happy. So there's a chain that actually he is following, right? Keeping the employees happy. And Southwest is profitable because of two factors. It's low cost and the loyalty of its customers. And this company actually employs a unique recruitment procedure that helps the company to win the top performing employees. And actually, this could be one of your takeaways too from today's session. The company is led by the principle that it's better to employ unskilled people with good attitude rather than employing skilled people with bad attitude. Now, with this kind of strategy in place, it has actually helped the company to absorb innovative employees. Whenever you get time, you can go ahead and give it a read. It will actually, it will be kind of a value at your knowledge, how people work. Okay, right. Could you please change the slide, Mariana? One more example here, Art Barter. Art Barter, founder and CEO of Servant Leadership Institute. Now, what he advocates is walk the talk. He says you have to invest time in people you are working with. Make them understand the values, the beliefs that you have and that you follow. And if they work with that sense of clarity, then there is more likelihood of them being happy and satisfied. And they are much more in a position to align to organizational goals. Right? So you could see, the kind of organizations, the kind of people who are working with this kind of mindset and what kind of results are they getting out of it. These are the few examples of servant leadership that we have shared with you. There are so many out there. If you want to search more, if you want to know more, just Google them. There are a lot of things available on the net. If you want us to share some good reads with you, definitely we'll do that. Please let us know in the chat box if you want us to share some good reads on servant leadership or maybe on growth mindset with you, or any other kind of help that you want us to help you with. Anything. If you have any issues, if you have any doubts, let us know in the chat box. Okay, could you please change the slide, Mariana? And lastly, now it's time for you to reflect upon. It's kind of food for thought for all of you. What is the level of trust that you share with your relationships, your teams, your stakeholders? Right? Do you think servant leadership should be there or has a place in your organization? What is more important to you? Serving yourself or serving others? What will be your first step to be a servant leader? Ponder upon all these statements. Okay, everyone. With this, we have actually come to the end of today's webinar. Thank you so much for being there till the end and listening so patiently. We hope you found this webinar informative and engaging. And remember, whatever we have talked about, don't listen and forget. Apply what you have learned. Stay curious. Stay open-minded. Thank you so much. Over to you, Mariana. It's time for a question answer session here. Now, I would love, if you have, thank you, Sean. Okay, I would love, to hear from you. If you have any questions, definitely ask. But it's always better to get into that discussion mode. You can unmute yourself. You can use the chat box.
So I will unmute everybody.
Yes.
Okay, hello, Madam Sarika. So I have a question.
Hi, George. Hi there.
I have a question. So when you said good companies are now hiring people of good attitude, so apart from willing to being open to learn, what other things can we say are attributes of good attitude?
Of good attitude. What do you think, George? What a good attitude means to you? Tell me.
Like being willing to learn, not being opinionated, things like that. But my question is, what other things apart from this?
It all depends on you, George. It's not that it's something written in black and white and I can tell it to you. Take somebody's example who has a good attitude in your eyes, right? What do you think is that person possessing, which, we don't have?
Okay.
Tell me, George, if you have any example to share with all of us, what is it that you could think of that person has and you don't have?
Okay, so a person who's open to new ideas.
Okay.
Innovative.
Okay.
Innovative. And so on and so on.
Great. Now you could see, the power of learning. I never gave you any answer. You put forth a question and you have the answer.
So I wanted to hear your ideas.
My ideas are no other than yours, George. Right? And remember, George, it's always, it's better if you go ahead, if you have somebody, you can, you have a benchmark and you have somebody you can idolize. It's always good to follow that person and keep your goals achievable. Now you have stated 3 points, three attributes of that person. Right? Now these are achievable because you could identify it well. If I come up with something which is totally unrelated to your personality, you won't be able to do that. You won't even go ahead and try to change yourself. That is what the difference is. Thanks, George. Thanks a lot.
Right.
Anybody else here?
Hi, Sarika.
Hi, Mubanga.
I do have a question. So this is something that usually comes up, especially when I'm interacting with different people that don't really have, let's say, managerial positions or positions in a company where they can actually be involved in the decision making of the company. So let's say per se you have ideas and maybe some solutions to some of the problems that your company is facing, but because of maybe the rigidness of your bosses, they don't really allow you to talk about your opinions. Like it's not really an environment that listens to all their employers' concerns or maybe solutions for certain problems. Like how do you approach such a situation, like in such an environment where you do have ideas and solutions to thing that's happening in the company, and maybe that's perhaps leading the company to bankruptcy, but even when you try to pitch it into your leadership, they're not necessarily open to hearing your idea because maybe you're a junior in the company, or you're just on the first level of employment. They just don't regard you so much. How would you encourage such a person to approach such situations without having to leave the job?
Right. In that case, remember, Mubanga, during this, while I was talking, I was talking about gentle persuasion. Right now, here is where APF values come into picture. Remember, in our first webinar, we talked about APF values. We talked about courage, right? You have to, show that courage. Go ahead, talk to your boss. Of course, very politely. You can tell him these are the problems that you have identified, and something that is to be dealt with, right? And in case he is not listening to you in the very first go, no problem, wait for some time, go again, talk to your peers, talk to your other team members about this. Maybe they also come across the same issue, and they can actually be a part of your team in going ahead and putting this forth in front of your boss. And when you go as a team with the same problem, I'm sure whosoever that person is, either a boss or somebody in the leadership team, he will listen to the problem, because now he could see there are so many people facing this issue, and something he has to, pay attention to, right? So gentle persuasion is required here, right? And have that courage to go ahead and talk about it. This is very important. Don't keep problems or issues to yourself. Because if you do this, then you are actually not enjoying your work over there. It's kind of a burden that you are having on your shoulders. You are there just for the heck of it. But enjoying your work and maybe, learning from what you're doing, or having that feel good factor at workplace, everything is missing. You're actually getting apprehensive about your long-term perspectives, about your growth too. You could see, the kind of attitude leadership has. All these things have to be, brought into, they have to be told to them very gently, but then have that courage, Mubanga. That is very important. You never know, they say they don't listen to you, but somewhere inside they might even appreciate that you have that courage to come forward and tell, this is what is happening, and this is not the way it should be done. Right? So that's how it is. I hope I'm able to answer your question, Mubanga. she got disconnected, Mariana.
She's there. Mubanga is present.
Okay, I couldn't see her. I hope that answers your question, Mubanga.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
That's right. Anybody else? Okay, Mariana, if we don't have any more questions, I think we can go ahead to the next part.
Yes, Sarika, thank you. And thank you all for your wonderful comments. Thank you for joining the session today. And that was a wonderful session. Don't you all agree? I would like to take a moment to thank our speaker, Ms. Sarika, for this thought-provoking and knowledge-sharing session. Thank you, Sarika.
Thanks, Mariana. Thanks a lot.
So we have an upcoming learning lab scheduled on May 24th, and the speaker is Ms. Christy Porter, and she will talk about determining your company's main core competencies, how to use these to design better interview questions, how to kick off a recruiting strategy meeting, how each role is its own project, and how being agile supports the success of that project. So stay tuned for the registration link that will be shared to you all via email. And I guarantee you that joining this learning lab session will be a great learning experience for all of you. So here comes an exciting news your way. We invite you all to join our upcoming global virtual conference, the PeopleOps Pulse 2023, scheduled from October 10th to 12th, 9 a.m. to noon, New York time. We are bringing together industry experts from all around the globe to share their knowledge and ideas during the conference. So the conference theme will explore how organizations can ACE, that is foster business agility, adopt coaching as a practice, and elevate the people experience. In addition, there will be lots of networking opportunities, which I'm sure you would not like to miss. So I invite you all to pre-register for the conference, and I will be sharing the link in the chat box shortly. So hoping to meet you all for the conference. So what do we have next? We have some post-webinar readings on servant leadership, and they will all be shared to all the attendees. Also, in continuation to the TRIO webinar series, we have our upcoming webinar in the month of June. So stay tuned for that. We have a Zambia Telegram group and WhatsApp group as well. The links will be shared via email. Would now like to call Mubanga to say a thank you note.
Okay, before that, Mariana, I think Charles has mentioned something in the chat box. Would you like to answer that?
Yes, Charles. Everybody who was present for the session, they will be, for the throughout of the session, they will be receiving participation certificates. So that will be received post this webinar within 1 week. Does that answer your question? Okay. So I would now like to call Mubanga to say a thank you note.
All right. Thank you, Mariana. And thank you so much, Sarika. I'm very sure everybody enjoyed the webinar the same way I enjoyed. You know, every webinar is learning something different, learning something new. And I enjoyed this one in particular because I really love how Sarika is really patient when she's explaining and how really calm she is when she's teaching and explaining. And it just shows her passion for the work and her passion for, helping everybody that wants to learn. And for that, Sarika, we are really, really, really grateful. And also thankful to each and every person that attended the webinar. I noticed that we actually have some people from other countries and would like to say thank you for joining the Zambian webinar, for your support. And I hope you all learned one or two things, because I have learned so much, and I'm definitely not going to be the same person because of the yet that I've put at the end of each and every obstacle and challenge that I face in my career paths. So we look forward to having you all in our next webinar in June. The date will definitely be communicated via email. So you guys be on the lookout for that email, and don't forget to register. And of course, share with your friends, your family, your colleagues at work, even your bosses, especially if you have bosses that are like really hard-headed. This is a platform for that change, because we preach growth mindsets, and we all want everybody to enjoy their work and enjoy each and every single thing that they do and excel in their careers, in their businesses, and just excel everywhere, because some of the things that we learn here, they're also applicable in our personal lives. That's the beauty of it all. So you're growing not just in your career, but also in your personal life, how you interact with people, you know. So it's very, very, it's such a privilege, to be a part of people that are willing to learn and grow and make the world a better place. So thank you so much to everybody. Thank you so much, Mariana. Thank you so much, Sarika. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Banga. Thanks, Mariana, and thanks everyone for listening so patiently and being here till the end. Thanks a lot. Really means a lot. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Mubanga. So everyone will receive a feedback form link in the chat box. Would request you all to share your feedback. Your feedback is really valuable to us, so please share your feedback. And also we will be sharing the recording of this session to all the participants who have RSVP'd. We will be uploading this session on our APF YouTube channel, so stay tuned for that as well. And thank you all once again. Have a wonderful day ahead.